signalling because there's a restricted entrance on up here. There's also some cars that are going to benefit from the signal to come left. There's no gap at the moment. Applying the handbrake. Looking for an opportunity. There's no one behind at the moment. I've got a gap from the right. Someone's let me out. Trying to leave an escape route just in case anything happens here. Keep it more for cyclists to the right as well as them coming out. Looking to turn left on the roundabout. So trying to take my position nice and early because there is a gap down the left hand side. Trying to keep a gap between me and the vehicle in front. Coming down the left hand side. Looking to turn left, more restricted view to the right. Looking round to the left whilst I get a chance. Lamp post, bollard on the left, one blue car. Can't see to the right, so just waiting for a clear view. Letting the Skoda go. There is a gap, so I'm going to take it. It's before the red people carrier. Trying to get a view over the top of the hill, solid white lines. One vehicle from behind the red people carrier as mentioned. Junction approaching on the right hand side, potential for horses. There's also restricted height to the right, it's currently a 40-mile-an-hour limit with speed cameras oncoming. Junction on the right, I'm happy with that at the moment, there's no one coming out of there. Through the speed camera restriction, probably for the junction. There's also another junction on the right hand side approaching with a weight limit. One or two, three vehicles behind. One person waiting to cross my path, so I'm going to warn the person behind with the brake light signal. There is a parked vehicle, so I'm going to signal to the oncomers. I'm going to try and leave a wide berth just in case he decides to open his door. Nice long signal to warn the people behind and the oncomers. Left mirror just to move back in, I'm happy with that. 40-mile-an-hour speed limit with houses on the left hand side. We're coming through the village. It's another speed camera as we approach the junction, oncoming traffic. Vehicle from behind at a safe gap. Oncoming vehicle junction on the left hand side at the 40-mile-an-hour limit. Positioning left for the right hander. Looks like this junction is approaching on the left with people waiting. So again, I'm going to apply the brake light signals to the people behind. There is roadworks with traffic lights ahead according to the sign. Just looking at the red car, I'm happy with him. No one behind him apart from the one car. Oncoming traffic, still roadworks approaching now. Changes to a national, but the roadworks on our side of the road in 200 yards. Another junction on the right with an amber background sign. Changes to a national, but I'm just looking for the roadworks. Positioning to move out for the roadworks. No one overtaking at the moment. Slow sign on the road for the junction. I'm looking into the junction, it looks clear. One oncomer, happy with that. Let's get up to the 60 now. Cars ahead now, no one overtaking. Up to the 60, so drop it into 5th for economy. Taking a central position for the oncomer. Central position in my lane. I would normally position more right for the better view. Parking on the left hand side. I'm now catching up with the cars ahead, so I'm at a fairly safe gap at the moment. No point overtaking because I'm right up to the limit. And now I'm going to drift across towards the right. No one overtaking me. Just for a slightly better view, coming up towards the bridge. There's no pavement at the moment on the right, but there is on the left, so expecting to see pedestrians hopefully on that. Quite a windy road, quite a nice level road at the moment. I'm catching up with the cars ahead, parking on the left, I'm happy with that. Parking on the right, I'm happy with that too. Goes down a hill, lots of cars ahead, oncomers. Could be overtakers ahead as well, so I'm just dropping back for a better view. Just taking a slightly right-hand position, nobody overtaking me, so I'm going to move into that position just to see down the line of cars, and then back towards the left just as we come round the right-hander. I'm trying to maintain my position between me and the vehicle in front, so I'm using acceleration sense to keep that gap. Oncoming traffic. The horizon, there's a few trees on the left hand side. It looks like we're coming down a hill towards a staggered crossroads, or some form of, yes, it's a crossroad, normal crossroads. There's oncoming traffic here. One car's turning left. We've still got a row of traffic behind in the far distance. They're not that close. Slow sign on the road for the junction. Also, it advises me that the road narrows. There's a keep left sign. The car turning left is now turned in. There is a slipway for that. I'm just looking for cars coming in and out of there. One car waiting to turn across my path. Brake lights for the vehicle behind. There's one approaching from the left looking to turn right as well. I'm happy with that now, so I'm going to continue with caution. There is parking on the left hand side, so just looking out for people coming to and from that oncoming traffic. Nobody overtaking currently. Changes to a broken line in the middle, so I'm happy with that. I'm trying to keep my gap between me and the vehicle ahead. Slightly wet road surface, but it seems to be quite grippy. Junction on the right hand side, and we're looking out for the oncoming traffic. There's also houses in the distance ahead. Changes to a solid and then back to a broken line. There's another speed camera parking area on the left. There's a junction on the right hand bend. Expecting to have to slow down for that. Changes to a 50. Vehicles from behind. Giving a brake light signal because I can't see into the driveways here. Getting a gear so that I can manage that. Slow sign on the road, slippery road surface. So I'm coming through here with caution. Junction on the right hand side, and there's also a house as well for driveway. One car approaching from the right. Just looking out for the junctions on both sides. Happy with those at the moment. Trying to maintain my speed around the corner. I'm happy with that. Restricted height, but currently there's no one in front to cause that problem. There might be oncomers on our side of the road as we come round, but there is solid white lines in the middle. Quite a wide road. I see the glimpse of a car coming around the corner. Now it's a lorry. Left hand position for the right hander. Restricted view, so I'm backing off. Vehicle behind at a safe gap. Coming through slowly into pastures fields. Solid white lines in the middle. Coming up towards industrial buildings from local knowledge on the right hand side. No footpath on both sides. There's still a vehicle at a safe distance from behind. I'm expecting heavy vehicles coming across my path here. Junction on the right hand side. I'm happy with the junctions on the right hand side at the moment, but they are restricted with the oncomers as well. Changes back to a broken. Bus stop with a person parked in it, so they could move away. There's also parked cars on the right hand side, junction on the right. Another parked car on the left hand side as well, more houses on the right. I'm looking for the cars in the distance. I'm nearly at the 50 limit, so just picking my speed back up now. It's clear again. Changing to a solid line, inside the middle. Positioning right for the left-hander. Just getting the better view around the corners. Motel on the right-hand side. Catching up with the oncomers, so trying to leave a nice safe gap. Vehicle behind's keeping a safe gap. I'm going to clean the back windscreen, keep it nice and clear. Coming around these next few bends, I'm going to relax the car into fifth gear. There are double bends first to the right, then the left. But at the speed we're going, the car's quite capable in that gear. Just looking to come round the right-hander with a little bit of power just to balance out the car. Oncoming traffic, solid white line in the middle. Junctions on both sides. No footpath, again I'm expecting to see walkers. Junction approaching on the right-hand side. So I'm just considering what's behind me on the approach to that. He's at a safe distance behind, bollards on the right-hand side. One pedestrian walking on the right-hand side of the road. They're on the pavement, so I'm happy with them. Here's the junction, one coming out. Brake lights to the vehicle behind. Matching on the brakes, covering the horn. I'm happy with that now. I'm looking to take the gear to go. Left mirror to move back in slightly closer towards the curb. Looking into the far distance, we've also got potential for cattle inside the road here. Changes to a broken line. Looking while I head into the distance, there are speed cameras on this route. There's also someone just turned into the driveway on the left. Happy with that, but I'm just covering the horn. Right mirror to move out just in case. Got an escape route to the right and the left if I need it. Looks like there's a high-vis, someone in the high-vis to the left-hand side. Just keeping an eye on them, catching up with the vehicles ahead. Low-flying helicopters. There's also driveways and junctions on both sides. Parking area on the left-hand side, junction on the right. Still happy with the vehicles behind, so and I'm also dropping back the gear now. There's less hazards ahead, but there is other cars ahead, so I'm trying to keep a nice safe gap between them and us at the moment. Oncomers at the moment, just bending round towards the right. And then the left, so I'm taking a right hand position in lane, but there is a parked vehicle, looks like an AA van on the right hand side. Low flying helicopters again. Hopefully that won't cause us many problems, but I'm looking out just in case. I'm looking to change to a solid light line in the middle, and there's also there are humps to the junction on the left hand side. I'm expecting someone to turn here, changing speed limit with the amber background signs as well down to the 40. So brake lights to the vehicle behind here as we approach that. Expecting someone turning, and yes, there is brake lights ahead, and there's also a speed camera for that. Road is closed to the left, just checking there's no one coming out of that. I'm happy with that at the moment. Position slightly right of lane for the left hand bend approaching here. Houses on the left hand side, bends round towards the left as shown on the sign. Just looking into the driveways on both sides, looking round the corner as well. Can't quite see, but it is opening out. Dual carriageway tells me that's ahead. Looking to take the line of least resistance on this road, but there is a 40 limit. Traffic lights on red, lots of stationary traffic. Right hand lane looks slightly clearer, but I'm just considering what decision to make. Far left hand lane turns left only. Right hand lane looks clearer. There's also heavier vehicles in lane 1, so I'm going to favour the right hand lane for now. Keeping a gap between me and the van ahead. Just looking down the road I could see well up into the distance. Just thinking about my escape route. There's a grassed area to the right that I could use. Going past the cars to the left, got brake lights from the cars ahead. So the next set of lights are on red as well, so there's no point approaching them quickly. Expecting 1 or 2 cars turning right here, so again just holding back for that, trying to gain the view between the cars, left mirror for any motorcyclists, just looking down the gap between the cars and giving brake light signals to the close follower from behind, a bit too close for comfort. Keeping the brake lights on here, looking down the gap between the ambulance and the van that's ahead of me. Lights have just changed to green. I'm going to make a little bit of progress here when we come through the lights. Looking to the right to check it is still clear as we come through. Lights could still change. I've got an escape route to the left if I need to and the right. Making a decision to come through. We're still in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, so I haven't got much speed to play with. Just coming past the cars on the left-hand side, holding my speed, maintaining it as the C5 moves out, keeping an eye on my mirrors. There is someone still behind me. There's also vehicles behind that. Considering whether to move back in here, but it changes to a 60 ahead junction on the right. After the junction, it just changed to national. I'm just going to double check that that's okay before going. Keeping an eye on the close follower from behind, and then we'll lose him in the mirrors now. Looks good ahead, so off we go. Still in 3rd gear. I'm going to get up to 60, then drop it into 4th for economy. Looking well ahead, positioning right for the left hand, just checking on the side of the ambulance, expecting him to potentially change onto blues and 2s, keeping an eye on him, looking to drop back into the left, just considering whether that's the best option. There is slower movers on the left hand side, so possibly going to stay out for now, hold my decision out here until I can make a better decision. Just going to see what's around the corner and then possibly looking to move back in. So just considering what's in the left hand side, I'm going to drop back in now. I'm going to give a signal because there is a vehicle behind me. Just going to cancel that to make sure it doesn't look like I'm turning left. I'm up towards the speed limit, keeping a safe gap between me and the vehicle in front. Can't even read the number plate. Bending round towards the right, so the left hand is going to give you a better view anyway. In the distance I can see some street lamps, which would suggest that the speed limit changes in any case. Just having a look at the overtaker in the right hand lane. I'm going to ease off just to let them come by, just so he's out of the way now. It's a BMW, just keeping well away from him. Junction on the left for Salt, I'm happy with that. I've got an escape route to the right, no one coming out at the moment. Positioning for best view. Now there is someone approaching that now, but he has slowed down and seen me, so I'm happy with that. Looking into the distance ahead, there is more cars in the far distance. They're not braking at the moment, but I'm going to keep an eye on them. Still 2 lanes at this point, keeping an eye on both sides of the road. Looking into all the turnings, there is turnings on both sides of the road. Just looking into the distance, again I've got a brow of the hill, gated and fence sold towards the left hand side, keeping the windscreen nice and clear. Looking behind me, there's a row of cars, but they're well up behind me in the far distance, so I'm happy with that. Bending around the right hand bend, I can see some form of traffic lights around the corner, but I'm going to keep an eye on them as I come round. They could be for the railway line. Brake lights from the vehicles ahead, so I'm going to start introducing my brake lights to the vehicle behind me, because I can see the road narrows, it goes down to 1 lane. It reminds me of that again, and it reminds me of that again. It also changes down to 40, looking at the sign ahead that are amber background signs. There's obviously been a problem with speed here before, so I'm going to drop back my speed. I've taken that off now, I'm choosing a gear to maintain it. Because of the amount of hazards with the junction on the left, I'm going to choose 3rd gear. Positioning slightly right of centre for the left-hander, and just looking what's around the corner ahead. We need to make sure we can be seen by any vehicles that are looking to come out from the left-hand turn. There could also be vehicles ahead that are turning that need to slow down. There's one right turner ahead, brake lights give signals to the vehicle behind. I'm going to keep my back windscreen nice and clear because it is quite muddy. Left-hand mirror just to move back in slightly, just for a better view around the right-hander, but just considering there are people waiting to come out from the left-hand side. I've got an escape route to the right if I need it. I'm doing a fairly reasonable speed, covering both hands on the wheel. Left mirror to move back in just after that point. We've got brake lights from the BMW ahead that overtook us. He's very closely following the vehicle that's turning right, but he's moved to the centre of the road. One vehicle fairly closely following from behind. There's also a junction coming up on the right hand side. He's turning right. I'm just going to keep an eye on him, covering the brakes, brake lights in just in case he changes his mind. Just looking into the junctions and driveways on both sides of the road. It tells me to keep left as we approach this position. Positioning slightly right of lane, although the BMW is turning right into the distance ahead. And there are vehicles waiting to turn out from the right hand junction as well. So just keeping an eye out for them. Still in 3rd gear for flexibility, keeping an eye on anyone overtaking. We're happy with that, so picking up the speed, parking in 1/4 of a mile, keeping an eye on the BMW, just keeping an eye to the right hand side. I'm happy with the junction now on that side. Keep left at this point, difficult view, so just backing off a little bit, looking over towards the top of the hill where it changes to a national, and then again we lose the pavements at this point. Keeping left sign, parking sign on the left hand side, keeping an eye out for the lay-by, positioning close to the left hand side of the carriageway just to get a better view around the corner. Waiting to get my view before I change it up. I can see a bit clearer now, so I'm picking up the speed slightly, taking a position towards the centre of the road so I can see a bit further around the left-hander. Just coming off the power for now. I'm holding it in 3rd gear till I get a better view of the road ahead. Having a look into the junction to the left, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to drop it back into 4th or 5th. 4th now, just because there's a junction coming up on the left side. Just a bit more economy there in 4th gear. Keeping an eye on keeping the windscreen clear from behind and in front. Looking well ahead, we're happy with the junction on the left-hand side. It goes up a hill, brow and the crest, can't see over the top. Houses on both sides of the road, so just looking out for them. I'm up towards the speed limit now, looking up to the cars ahead. No point overtaking them at this point because they're keeping up to a reasonable flow. Just going to see what's over the brow of the hill before I drop it back into 5th gear. Just having a look down the road onto the straight section. I can see quite far now, a few oncomers, but I'm happy with them. No one overtaking me. Up to 5th gear, farm entrances on both sides, lots of mud on the road. There's also some form of garage on the left hand side, so I'm just going to back off slightly for that. There's no one closely following, so not really any point applying the brake light signal, but just positioning slightly further out in the road away from the garage on the left hand side. Currently no one coming out from that point. Changes to broken in the middle, and also there is hash markings, but I'm happy with that at the moment. One oncomer in the far distance comes down a hill, no one coming out from the lay-by on the left hand side, bends round towards the left, so holding the position towards the right, no one overtaking me, no motorcyclists, etc. I'm also looking into the lay-by and the turnings on both sides. There's a height restriction ahead, but I can't see any heavy vehicles directly in front of me, but there could be heavy vehicles on the oncoming side on the middle of the road. There's a driveway and a junction on the right hand side, just considering that, balancing the cars that come through the bend, but as I've done that I'm starting to back off for the next bend as well. Off here there's a lot of water on the road, so I'm just backing off a little bit as we approach this. Get my gear down for the right hander, just taking a position towards the left for the right hander for a better view, holding back my distance because of the fact the road's a bit wetter here, and there's also a lot of mud on the road. Into the far distance there's a lot more cars, they're doing a reasonable speed, no brake lights, positioning towards the right, no one overtaking me, just for a better view of the road ahead. I'm on oncoming heavy, so there could be people overtaking that. Looking at the other cars, I can't see that that is the case. Vehicle behind's catching up with me slowly, so just keeping an eye out for that. Junction on the left hand side, junction on the right hand side, looks like a staggered crossroads, but there also is a marina, so just looking through the hedges, there's nothing there. Slow sign, we've got right turners ahead, so brake light signals just to warn them. Positioning towards the left so the vehicle behind can see the right turners, taking a position with the gear as well to deal with that, coming through nice and steadily, just making sure that we can cope with anyone coming out from either of these junctions. And all the right turners, they've got a box to move into, there's no one waiting to turn right now, I can see a bit more clearly, so onto the power, just keeping a gap between me and the vehicles into the distance. Also there's another staggered crossroads looking into the junction on the left and the right, one's coming out from the right, positioning for view, make sure he can see me, I can see him. I'm going to cover the brake light signals to the vehicle behind just in case. It looks like I'm happy with that, so I'm going to come through. Another slight brow, can't quite see over the top, looking to turn right on the next roundabout. From local knowledge I can use both lanes to do that, so I'm going to choose the line of least resistance depending on what's happening. One oncoming person walking on the right side of the road in high vis, but they're running, happy with that. Looking to go right on the roundabout according to the signs and markings. I can use both lanes. There is 3 lanes here, I can use lane 2 and 3, so I'm just favouring lane 2 at the moment of the 3 lanes. Lots of runners on the pavement to the right hand side. I'm going to give my intentions to the vehicles in front and behind that I intend to turn right from the left hand lane, just to make sure there is no confusion there. I also don't want to cut them up as we come through the roundabout, so I'm going to keep an eye on their position, keeping well back from them just as we approach this. Checking the gap to the right, looks to be clear, so I'm going to take it now. One oncoming, but I'm happy with that. Looking round the roundabout entirely, just checking they don't cross my path as we exit, staying in the right hand lane with the right hand signal. I can see a van on the exit to that one, but we're not taking that one, so I'm going to give a signal off because there's people behind and around me. Looking into the distance, I can see a lay-by bus stop, sorry, I'm happy with that. One looking to overtake. There's also an ambulance that's pulled up on the left, so that might pull away, so I'm going to let the vehicle on the right just overtake me by easing off slightly, and then I've got an escape route to the right if the ambulance does move away. Just considering the escape route to the right if I need it, and there's traffic lights ahead currently on green that could change. Happy with those at the moment. There is a junction on the left after the ambulance, I'm also happy with that. I've got an escape route to the right. Looking into the junction, I'm going to move back towards the left for a better view down the road ahead. Traffic lights are on green, and then the next set, one car coming out from the left, but there's a gap, so I'm happy with that. With one broken down lorry in lane 1, so I'm just going to consider moving across towards the right. I'm going to give a signal just in case he decides to come away there, and he's also slightly on my side of the road, so I'm going to move into the right hand lane nice and steadily. There's also traffic lights that are on red ahead, and then looking to move back to the left hand lane, trying to keep a gap. I'm completely off the power now, moving back into the left after the wagon. I'm happy with him, no one in my blind spot, moving across gently, expecting the lights to change but making a decision now. Going to come through now, looking into the junction on the left. I'm happy with that, there's nobody crossing the road. Coming up towards the roundabout, just considering I'm following the road ahead on this one. There's a goods testing station to the left hand side, so there's going to be heavy vehicles as we approach. One vehicle that's just about to overtake me, so I'm going to back off, so I've got an escape route to the right and the left if I need it. And also looking around the corner, there's one dog walker, he looks like he's on a lead as well. So just, we've got this Focus that's turning right in the right hand lane. I'm keeping a gap, there's not much gap to the right anyway between these two cars, so just considering what they're going to be doing, I'm backing off the power, giving a brake light signal to anyone that could be, there's one person behind quite closely following. Considering what the other traffic's doing, they've got the brake lights on, just keeping the car just moving as we approach. looking for my gap as I do approach, looking at the shell garage opposite. That could cause me a problem as we approach, so keeping an eye out for that. No one down the left hand side, but there is someone down the right. C5 continues, so off we go. And trying not to be alongside the car to the right hand side, so just letting him come past with acceleration sense, keeping the side mirrors checked. Looks like there's no one coming out from the shell garage, but I'm going to keep an eye out on that. I've got escape route to the right though, junction coming up on the left hand side, one vehicle closely following from behind, but I am happy there's no one coming out the junction now. I've got an escape route towards the right hand side. Parked cars well off of the pavement, pedestrians well off as well. I'm taking a position slightly right of centre just to get a better view around the left hand bend. Lots of junctions on both sides. Up to the 50 limit. One car's looking to turn left, although he has got a slip road. Just considering I haven't got an escape route to the right at the moment currently, because there is one that's just about to overtake me. He's turning left now, expecting someone coming out from that junction. I'm going to back off so he comes past to the right. Staggered crossroads approaching as well. Just looking out for the junction on the left hand side. Looking up towards the brow of the hill, stretching my neck, taking a position towards the left hand side for I can see round the bridge. There's a pub on the left hand side as I approach. There's also a staggered crossroads, so looking into both of those junctions. I'm expecting someone coming out. Vehicle in front's just moved in front of me slightly. I have got a safe gap though, junction on both sides. I'm just looking, I have got an escape route to the right. I could brake fairly firmly, but there is a vehicle fairly close behind. Just looking on both sides, and I can also see green traffic lights ahead. So just anticipating them changing to red as we approach. Got no escape route to the right currently with the overtaker. I'm nearly at the speed limit. It tells us 321 towards the double roundabouts. We're going to follow the road ahead on both, and also see a BP garage to the right. I'm happy with the junction as we're coming through. No one coming through from the right. C5 overtakes me. I'm just looking into the distance as well. We've got a garage on the left hand side, giving you some brake light signals to the vehicle that's relatively closely following from behind. Just warning him that we can't quite go at the roundabout. There is people approaching from the right hand side I might need to give priority to. Just looking out for that. Yes, they are going, so I'm going to back off on the speed as I approach. Considering the gear, we like the Mercedes come through, then the next one has to wait. It's a Golf. We're going to go now, so it looks good. Roadworks ahead, exit looks clear. Going to signal out, one lane on our exit. So just keeping an eye on the left hand lane for overtakers that could be cutting at the last minute. Good on the junction. We're going to take the exit now. Happy with no overtakers on the exit of that one now. So I'm going to be going up towards the third gear as we approach. With it being roadworks, I'm just looking out for people working inside the road, because we might need to reduce our speed limit slightly. So I'm not quite going up towards the 450 limit. Looking on the road ahead, there's also a roundabout according to the road signs. Up towards fourth gear just to make it a little bit more economical. Positioning slightly closer for the cones for the left-hander for view. No one overtaking me on a moped or motorbike, so I'm happy with that. Tells us to start reducing speed now, although we have got slightly reduced speed with the roadworks happening ahead. I'm looking to go straight ahead on the roundabout, so I'm going to use the left-hand lane unless road signs or markings tell me otherwise. I'm following signs towards the A34. Right-hand lane does look clearer though, but at the moment we have got two cars in lane one, so I'm just going to see what they're going to do first. No right turn ahead. Also no entries towards the right hand side. Brake lights from the vehicle ahead. Just looking out for the gap down the right hand side of the roundabout. It's quite an open roundabout, so I'm looking to enter it clearly. High grip surface. Just looking round to the Ford garage towards the left hand side. Taking the gap now because it looks to be clear. A little bit round the bend now, just looking around the corner. We have got people coming on towards the roundabout, staying in my lane, making sure I'm positioned so it looks like I'm continuing round. I'm taking a gear so I can de-accelerate if I need to. Taking the exit, I'm going to give a signal to any people that are coming onto the roundabout and the vehicles that are approaching from behind, making a decision to change up position towards the right hand centre of my lane. And we've also got potential for deer on this road, no waiting at any point. A few vehicles behind, but it's safe now to put our foot down. Got a little bit clearer view, slightly restricted on the brow, so I'm just going to wait to change up for that. It's also got parking in quarter of a mile, so I'm expecting to see people coming out of that. Up towards the fifth gear now, bend towards the left. Can't see the lay-by, so it must be just after the bend. No one currently overtaking me, but there's someone in lane 2 in the far distance behind. Slightly windy at this point. Just looking out for the driveways on both sides of the road here. There are turn-ins, but there's can't see anything happening at the moment. Just looking at the centre lines, I'd expect them to change here as we come up towards the lay-by. I have got an escape route towards the right. The person in lane 2 in the distance behind is at a safe gap. Speed cameras on this route. I'm happy with the lay-by currently. One moving out towards the right. Why is that? Taking a position slightly left of lane for the right-hander. There's junctions and driveways and houses and everything on the left-hand side. Approaching the speed camera, happy with my speed, taking a position towards the left-hand side, end of no waiting at any point, and going round towards the right-hand bend. Taking a position left for that, but it is slightly wet on the road, so just taking that into consideration. There's a junction on the left-hand side approaching now. I can also see dips down towards the left. There's a very steep slope towards the left-hand side as well. Looking out for any deer that could be around at this time of day. There's also a gap coming up in the dual carriageway ahead, there's a parking area, one person approaching from the left to move out. They'll take a position in the right lane well away from them for safety. They have pulled out, and there's no one currently behind except one or two. He's moved directly into lane 2, so I'm warning people behind that I'm expecting to move back in. I'm going to move back in gradually, but I don't want to come alongside the van, so I'm just going to check he's going to definitely turn before I go. Down to the 40 limit, I'm happy with the clear route ahead. There's someone in lane 2 ahead, so he might come into my lane slightly for the people turning to the right, but I'm looking into the junctions on the left. I'm happy with the car that's looking to overtake me to the right. I might back off so he's not alongside me for very long. One close follower from behind. Coming in towards the speed camera now. I'm going to back off for the people looking to overtake me on the right hand side. He's currently alongside me, so I'm letting him come past nice and quickly, and then just keeping up with the flow of traffic at this point. Looking up towards the top of the hill here, we've got potential for pedestrians crossing the road here. Junction on the left hand side, junctions on both sides. Potential heavy movers coming across here. Looking out for the pedestrians, looking out for the junction on the left. Looks good at the moment. I've got an escape route towards the right if I need it as well. Tells us to keep left on the road. There is a gap in the road ahead, so I'm just checking there's no one turning. I'm happy with the junction at the moment. That might change. One looking to turn from our right to our left, and I'm going to position slightly right of centre for the left-hander. Looking down in towards a roundabout ahead. We've got one vehicle overtaking me. I'm currently at the speed limit, so I'm going to back off to let him come by. We're going to follow the road ahead on the roundabout. So I'm looking at the road into the far distance. I can see quite a few cars, but they're moving fairly quickly, so I'm fairly happy with that. One in lane 2 ahead. It splits into 3 lanes here. I'm going to choose lane 2 as we approach to follow the road ahead. Letting the vehicle overtake to the right hand side. Vehicle is approaching from the right hand side, so I'm just going to consider what they're going to be doing before I make my decision. It looks clear, so I'm going to choose second gear to go, but I'm going to double check. There is one vehicle to the far right. I am happy with him. He's far enough away from the roundabout. No one down my left hand side. I'm going to give a signal off for the people waiting to come onto the roundabout at this point. I'm just exiting the roundabout. One pedestrian approaching the road, so I'm going to wait to change gear till I'm happy with him. He has crossed the road. I'm going to make my decision to continue on, so I'm going to go in towards third gear at this point. I'm at the speed limit, waiting for the speed limit to change. No one overtaking me. There is one that's just come off the roundabout fairly quickly. Another gap in the road ahead, but I'm happy with that. A few oncomers, but they're on the other side with the barrier. Changes to a 60 mile an hour now, so I'm picking up the speed. No one overtaking me, but there is distance in the distance behind. There is vehicles. There's a lay-by on the left hand side for a bus stop. Happy with that. 60 mile an hour reminder sign, bend towards the right with the high visibility sign. So just considering that as we approach, there's obviously been plenty of injuries and serious fatalities here. So positioning towards the left for the right hander. Also chevrons on the road, difficult to see around the corner, so I'm going to back off slightly. Got one vehicle from behind, a little bit of water on the road, so try and keep well away from that on the other side. Bends round towards the right, looking at the street lamps, has the lines in the middle of the road. One vehicle looking to overtake, so I'm going to back off for that. Reducing speed signs for the roundabout now, so I'm backing off the power. Tells me that there's a university hospital ahead, so looking out for ambulances as an A&E, and looking into the distance as I can see some brake lights. So I'm starting to back off as I approach. One parked up wagon, no lights on, taking a wide position past him, but just looking on towards the roundabout ahead. Some brake lights from the vehicles into the far distance, so I'm not expecting to be able to go straight onto this roundabout, expecting to have to slow down. Down to a 40, lots of directional signs as we approach on this stretch. High grip surface as we approach. Looks to be clear on the roundabout, taking third to come onto the roundabout. Clearly taking that, and pedestrian crossing lights on the exit, they look to be good, but there are pedestrians on the left. They haven't quite come up towards the crossing yet, signaling off for the oncomers. Just looking to see whether it's safe around this corner. Take a position slightly right of centre for the view. Junction on the left for the pub, so just looking up and over brow the hill for that. There's also traffic lights ahead that looks like a pedestrian crossing, so I'm going to just be wary of that as I approach. One or two from behind, but they're at a safe gap. We can see green lights ahead. No one's pushed the button on this one, but there's no one coming out of Harvester on the left. Expecting the lights that have been on green a while to change, so starting to back off on the power here. Brake light signals to the people behind, and hoping to go, but slowing as we approach just in case they do change. It is quite a wet surface, so I don't want to brake quickly. Making a decision now to come through or stop, so I'm going to make the decision to go now. Onto the power to come through. Looking through to the left, it looks good. Looking through to the right, it looks good. Rondeo comes out ahead, looks good to the right again. Bus stop on the left. Positioning left for the right hander, and relaxing the car into fourth gear because it's clearer ahead. Bending around towards the right, so taking a left-hand position. There's also another bus stop on the left, but no one waiting, no buses waiting as well. One parked car on the opposite carriageway. Well, I'm happy with that at the moment. There's one or two cars behind in lane 1, right directly behind me, but they're in a far distance, so I'm happy with that. Looking at the horde of traffic ahead, there's quite a lot of traffic, so just considering what speed they're doing, I'm right up to the speed limit. I'm coming up towards the top of the hill, and there's driveways on both sides. So just looking into those driveways, you can also see a potential reminder or speed limit change ahead. There's a few brake lights from the traffic ahead as well, so just looking at that. Also tells me there's a cycle lane and a gap towards the middle. I'm happy with the gap in the middle of the road. 1 or 2 cars ahead. There's a lot of driveways for the houses on the left. We're coming up towards the BP garage, brake lights from the cars ahead. Just looking out for the road signs as I want to be heading towards city centre. 40-mile-an-hour reminder sign. Parked cars on the left, but I'm happy with them. There's also driveways on the left. 1 or 2 cars looking to signal to move right and left. Looking at the roundabout sign as we approach, I possibly want the right hand lane, but the lights are changing to amber to red ahead, so I'm going to give a signal to say I want to be in the right hand lane. Just taking a glance towards the right before I'm moving across gradually. Try not to arrive until the lights change. Taking a position to get the best view on the road ahead. Slowing down the vehicles from behind with my brake light signals, high grip surface. Just looking through the junction, trying to time it to get there when the vehicle ahead has moved away, keeping a nice safe gap just in case. We have slowed down the close follower from behind. The traffic ahead's moving very slowly, so I'm going to pull away but nice and steadily in second gear because I haven't had to stop. Looking through to the right, it looks to be good. Coming through nice and steady because of the brake lights ahead. Trying not to arrive until we can continue through. Looking at the gap on the left hand side, people might be coming in from that side if they're not quite sure which lane to be in. Lights have just changed to green, expecting them to change back to red. Trying to make a go for it as we come to the lights, but anticipating them to change. Making a decision as I come up towards the arrow, making a decision to go. Turning right, this is the furthest left lane you can turn right, so I'm happy with that. Expecting these lights to change, van waiting to the left. He's been waiting a while, making a decision to go, keeping an eye on the traffic towards the left and the right of the car. Happy with that. There's 1 car behind, just keeping an eye on them on down to the left, covering my horn just in case. Wait, horn so I'll make sure they see me. Both my side mirrors look good, but it looks like it's very busy traffic, lots of heavy vehicles on the A500, so we're going to start to consider what's happening there. 1 vehicle from behind, he's at a fairly safe gap. Happy with that. Looking towards the right hand side, quick glance. Looks to be good. There's lots of traffic there. I'm going to let them sort themselves out. 1 the heavy vehicle in lane 1 behind that I intend to move to lane 2. Keeping that signal on as we approach. Picking up my speed slightly, but looking ahead as well. Just considering what sort of speed the traffic's moving at. The wagon moves across for me, which is kind of in to cancel the signal moving across. Now picking up my speed. Just considering the wagon driver might want to move into lane 1 and also giving him enough time to be able to get past me as he approaches. Just giving him plenty of time. Thanking him as he comes past with my hand still on the steering wheel. Just looking at the cars on both sides of the vehicle. Letting the heavy vehicle that let me out move past towards the right hand side and backing off so that I've still got a view as he comes back in. I just had a quick glance before he moved back in. There were cars in the far distance, there was no one braking at that point, but I am looking up towards the bridge ahead. There's 1 close follower from behind, so I'm going to give him a quick warning with the brake light signal ahead as there is a junction coming off and a junction coming on here. Just looking up towards the traffic lights to the left. I'm expecting people coming down from that. 1 heavy on the bridge as it comes down. It looks like a tanker. I have got an escape route towards the right as people come onto this road. I'm going to use the lorry ahead as a bit of a clue. The lights are on green above on the roundabout, so expecting a lot of traffic coming down the slip road. I'm going to let everyone sort themselves out here before I enter this gap. A lot of people coming down the slip road. I have got a gap towards the right, but I am exiting on this route. Looking onto the slip road here, I'm going to give a signal towards the left because there is a gap towards the left hand side. Letting the Fiesta move out in front of me as we come on, just by easing off the power, taking a gear to be able to manage that. Letting the people know behind me I intend to come over towards the left hand side. I have got a gap alongside me, just in front of the heavy vehicle that's to the left hand side. 1 vehicle behind, a lot of water on the road. Taking a position towards the left, gradually sliding over towards the left. I'm happy with that. Gliding over towards the left nice and gradually because it is quite wet on the road. Loads of brake lights on the main carriageway. Looking to move across towards the left. I've got a close follower, so I'm going to signal back in towards the left hand lane. Looking up ahead, we've also got a 30-mile-an-hour limit. Close follower is about to overtake me now. As he comes past, just going to ease off. The lights are on green currently, they could change. There could also be pedestrians that are on those lights here. Can't see round to the junction towards the right. No one currently coming off the main carriageway behind me. I'm just going to consider that as I approach whether or not I can stop. I'm going to make a decision to go here. No pedestrians, no one coming from the right by the looks of it. Positioning right for the left-hander, no one overtaking me, so I'm going to be quite wide on my position as I come up here. Looking up ahead, there's lots of traffic on the main carriageway, lots of brake lights ahead as well, a little bit of water on the road. 1 or 2 cars could be coming off the main road from behind me as well. Trying not to arrive until the lights change ahead, so just backing off the power with accelerations, and they've just changed, so hopefully we can make it through, but not anticipating them to change as well. Lots of traffic from both sides. So taking just a quick horn signal for the cyclist to the left. I think you see me now, making a decision to go. Looking through the junction, it looks to be clear on both ways, no ambulance. 1 pedestrian, I'm happy with him. Taking a position now back towards the centre of the road so I can see further around the corner, no one overtaking me. Looking down onto the main carriageway as well, it has changed to a 40 now, so I'm going up towards the 4th gear because it's fairly economical and safe to do so. Taking a position close to the centre line because I'm going to be turning right ahead. Reminds us of a 50 on the main carriageway, but 40 on this one, with the sign on the left hand side repeater and on the road as well. Gliding in towards the right hand lane, no one overtaking me, no one down the right hand side, and turning right at the top of the hill, lights on red. So starting to think about the signal, don't want to confuse people on the main carriageway. There is no one currently behind, so I'm not going to bother with the signal at the moment. There is 1 or 2 cars, traffic on the bridge ahead, so they probably will benefit from a signal, but just thinking about when that will be the case. Just checking out any pedestrians as well. End of no waiting any sign, an end of no waiting any time sign. There's also turning right here, the vehicle ahead will benefit from my signal, so I'm going to give that signal as well. There's also one approaching from behind, so just keeping an eye on them as they approach, and that's another reason to signal. I'm looking towards the right as well. There are red lights around the corner, so I don't want to be approaching this too quickly. Just managing the person from behind with brake lights, although he's turned off towards the left now. Trying not to arrive until we can go. We may need to turn the engine off if we're much longer. Just trying to keep the car just creeping, but I've still got an escape route towards the left. And just looking around the corner for the traffic lights. Trying to work out what part of the sequence we're on. They've just changed green for the main people on the carriageway, so I'm actually going to turn off my engine at this point to allow the car not to use any fuel. Lights have changed, so we're going to continue through. So we're going to go into first gear and set away. Looking towards the right, lights are on green, they could change. Trying to leave a nice safe gap, looking through the junction, looks to be clear, no one overtaking me. Looking both sides, out of the bus lane, looking ahead, checking out the bus lane before it moves back in, looking through the junction, looks to be clear, lights still on green, looking both ways, taking a wide position, no one overtaking me, just to see around the corner, oncoming bus. There's also a junction on the right hand side, no right turns. It's a taxi driver possibly looking to come out, I'm happy with him, so I'm just moving back towards the left, a little bit of water from the bridge ahead. Not changing up until I'm happy with the pedestrians on the left hand side, one vehicle approaching from behind, brake light signals to him, just checking he's not going to cross as well. He hasn't pressed the button, position towards the right, no one overtaking me. One car approaching from the left, we've also got pedestrian crossing lights ahead, we've got junctions on both sides, one approaching from the left, brake light signals to the vehicle behind, one parked car, pedestrian on the left, pedestrian on the right, junctions on both sides, also parked cars on both sides, no one overtaking me, moving towards the middle of the road slightly for a better view around the left hander, considering what the reversing car's doing on the right, junctions on both sides, going to be turning right here, warning the person behind him plenty of time, got a broken line here so I can enter that if it's necessary, just letting the car oncoming just move out of the way first of all, just checking out the car turning from the right first of all, gliding into a position, just turn to the right turn now, one pedestrian, I'm happy with him now. Moving in towards the centre of the road for the parked cars, no one overtaking me. Speed humps here, so keeping my speed nice and steady, trying to balance it with the stability of the car as we come through, trying to make it nice and smooth. Potential for oncomers, parked cars on both sides, looking out for pedestrians as we come through here. Currently doing 57 miles per gallon on that route so far. We've got one oncoming, I'm just going to give them a bit more room, so I'm going to back off my power a little bit just so that I can cope with anyone opening a door or crossing the road here. One pedestrian, no, it's a car from the left hand side, big puddle to the left, looking to turn left. The vehicle ahead and behind in the far distance will benefit from that. Just going to check where he's going to go before making my decision, continuing in second gear as I was still rolling. Looking up the hill, changes to a 30 here, difficult to see the 20 signs as you turned it anyway. Looking up the brow of the hill, no one overtaking me. Junctions on both sides, but I'm currently happy with them. They could change, pedestrians on the right hand pavement. There's also a cycle lane on the left hand side, brow of the hill, difficult to see over the top. Looking up for the pedestrian on the pavement, a little bit poorly lit, so I'm just having a look over the top, stretching my neck, junctions on both sides, happy with them at the moment. Another junction on the left with speed humps, oncoming van with a light out. Okay, looking at the junction on the left, it looks quite wet, so just looking at that. No one overtaking me, going to turn round towards the right at the top of the road. Currently no one behind me at the moment, there is one oncoming who's coming around a bit quickly, so just taking a wide berth as we approach. No one in the cycle lane, so I'm going to use that space. Taking a gear to take the bend, looking round the corner, looks to be good, so I'm coming round nice and gradually, just taking a position for the best view around the left-hander, just considering the oncomers. We've got ones without lights working there, looking to turn the third right ahead, no point changing up yet, we've got very limited view, so giving a signal towards the right now, my view's opened up, difficult to see into the junction, no one behind, no one overtaking. One bus, he's going to say I'm going to be turning right, post box, happy with that. Parked up van on the left, looks like a removal truck, can't see past it, so I'm going to take a wide view past him, no one overtaking me, giving him a brake light signal, giving into first gear, giving a signal towards the left if I need it. There's no one currently, yes there is a pedestrian in the distance, so I'm going to give that to them, looking both ways, nice big steering towards the left hand side. I'm finishing up with a parallel park on the left, or pulling up by the side of the road. There's a gap on the left, so there's no need to do a parallel park, but I will be reversing back. So there is pedestrians ahead, so I'm going to give a signal to them. Just checking it's clear down the left hand side of the car before moving in. Brake lights just to slow the car down, and I'm going to be having a look around me before I reverse back. The stationary car, handbrake on, having a look all the way around the pavements in the rear view. My window's down, the radio's off, so I can hear what's happening as well. Just continuing backwards nice and steadily, just continuing to look all the way around the vehicle till I've completely come to a stop. Coming to a stop there, a safe gap behind the car, handbrake on and out of gear.